Hey guys, I'm back. Mike Robert here. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to like and subscribe. So in today's audio, I want to talk to you about how you can work with businesses providing appointments to their business so that they can get more sales for their company. Okay. Now the appointment model is not necessarily new in the marketing space. All right. But I do believe it is a model that will help a lot of businesses because the majority of businesses, especially local businesses, are simply not set up the correct way, right? You can go down the list. And what I mean by that is most of them deal with lead mismanagement. They don't know how to follow up with leads the right way. They don't know how to ask the right questions. They don't know how to book appointments in a timely fashion. And naturally, if they miss any of these steps, we're not even getting to the sale aspect. They're simply at the appointment stage or the beginning of the relationship. What's going to happen is it's always going to fall back on marketing. No matter how good of a marketer you are, no matter all the tools that you help build to increase the business's results, if they simply are not set up the right way and don't know what they're doing, they're not going to do well. Okay? This is tried, tested, and proven. So one of the things, and we don't do this for every industry. There are certain industries we don't do it in. But in many of the industries that are high ticket industries, or the service is high ticket, maybe they do have a little bit of a low ticket service, but what we're offering is high ticket. What we'll do is we'll come in and facilitate an appointment relationship with that business. And how that looks is we will generate the lead. Our team will follow up with the lead. And then from there, you can use AI as well, but we've done this in many industries. Our industry will follow up the lead, solidify that this person wants to, have an estimate or have these services done, come in for an appointment, whatever it is. And then from there, we will gather the customer's information. Let's say it's a home visit, such as their name, address, schedule a day and time, and put it on their calendar and send it to our client. Okay? And one of the things your client will want to do is just send an email, phone call, a text. Hey, we have you locked in for an appointment. Almost like when you go to a barbershop, right? They'll have you in their their calendar, and usually you'll get a text message of some sort to say, hey, we have your appointment, right? You ever seen that before? So it's very similar to that. So your client should do that on their own. That shouldn't be something that you do, by the way. That should be something that your client does, unless they want to. Unless they want you to you do it and they're paying you for it. So from there, what you can do is you can charge more, right? Let's say you're in an industry where the average cost per click is, I don't know, 15 to let's say 40, 50, 60 bucks or much more, right? So the average cost per click could be $15 to up to $60 or much more depending on the industry you're in on Google. Well, that could be a little tough to do an appointment model with, unless there's so much demand and you're very good at generating leads at a high rate, meaning that you're well exceeding a 25% click to call ratio, which most people will not be better than that, just so you get an idea, unless you're in a massive demand industry service, right? Something has occurred, a disturbance, and you're getting so many inquiries. But for most of you guys that are just starting out, you may not be at that stage because there's a learning curve on Google. So you can use other platforms like social media to generate that lead. Okay, when you have the lead that comes in, you can follow up. So this is before your client even sees that there's a lead. Okay, so essentially your flow would be lead comes in, your team, your organization, whoever it is, or your AI, which if you're using AI, by the way, just make sure you put in just a certain consent, because that's important because the customer needs to know they're speaking to AI, by the way. But anyway, if you have that sequence, now you follow up with the lead or your team, right? Your team says, okay, great, you're looking, so you have a script, the person wants these services, they want someone to come by their home, assuming we're talking with the home services industry. You gather their information, gather their address, and then you put the appointment on the calendar between X and X date at a time window. So for instance, let's say someone inquires today, all right, John, somebody will be by your house, the estimator, make sure you get a name, by the way. Steve is the estimator, he'll be by your home tomorrow between 10 and 12. He'll call you before and let you know he's on his way. So that's how we did it in the moving industry, right? That's how our team used to book appointments for us. So you've just solidified an appointment and you send all of the details to the client. And it's always good to have call recording set up just in case there is any issue, but you always make sure you timestamp when the lead came in, when the call came in. You have that recording and everything just in case your client needs to see it. All right. So by doing that, you can charge more, right? You can charge more for a lead because every lead you're giving them is a booked appointment with the person on their calendar that they can always follow up with, and their estimator can go by their home. Where would this model not work? Okay. So this model would not work with a lot of low ticket niches because the business can only pay so much per lead, right? Before it doesn't make sense anymore. Another area will not work is with businesses that are not set up. If they don't have a good team, if they don't have a good follow-up system in place, if it's a one-man operation in a truck, it won't work. So you can still have a high-ticket industry, but if you're dealing with a one-man operation, it's not going to work. So let's just say I'm dealing with a roofing contractor, and that particular roofing business is truly that one-man operation. He's the guy taking the calls, he's going out and doing the estimates, right? There's only so many appointments you're going to be able to get in per week. Now, for you, if you're just starting out, it's not a problem working with him because you'll be able to get your feet wet and kind of learn some of the things that you don't know and be able to generate those leads for him, right? You could be doing bathroom remodeling, kitchen remodeling, concrete services, turf installation, fencing, windows, right? Anything that can cost, let's say over $10,000 as an example, would be a very good industry to approach with something like this, especially if they have a high cost per click and what the average cost per lead is going in their industry. So let's just say right now, roofing just to get a lead, which I think is from like the shared directories, by the way, is anywhere between like 75 to north of 150, right? And the value is going to be based on, the home size or something like that. So let's just say for a shared lead, a client is paying, and they're using this platform, they're paying, let's just say they're paying 75, right? They use a shared lead platform. Some of these people they get on the phone, some of these people they don't, for $75. If you can turn around and say, hey, we'll get you a 100% exclusive booked appointment on your calendar, whatever. I mean, if you're not sure and you're like, hey, let me just test this out, see how it works, you could charge them 100. Right? When I first did it, I charged 65. I wasn't sure how it was going to work for the business. Once I saw that, we had, let's say, 10 leads come in, and we booked 9 appointments. We actually booked all 10. So we had 11 total leads come in, and we booked 10 appointments. One person that we couldn't get a hold of, we didn't book them. And I said, all right, they went on each one of the estimates, and they actually gained business from it. I said, oh, easy. I can easily charge, let's say, 85 per appointment. I could charge 100 because it's advantageous. If they're willing to buy a lead, not an appointment from that company, I can charge, 120 for a guaranteed booked appointment on your calendar. And what you always want to keep in mind is that you need to consider, all right, if my costs increase by 20%, I still need to be good and make profit on this, right? Because what if, here's an example, and this is something people don't talk about, but what if the lead I would had a lower appointment ratio? It can happen. You can get 2 or 3 leads back to back for whatever reason. You can't get someone on the phone, or they're looking to service a different area. So now you have 7 appointments. It's costing you, let's just say, $20 to get a lead. So if you got 10 of them that came in, that's $200 right there, right? So you want to make sure that you keep it at a rate that makes sense for you and your business. So in a week, if you want to, you can make anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 based on how much you're charging per lead, and then how many leads you're able to, appointments you're able to get to that business in that 1 week. And you always want to find out, what does the business consider an appointment, not what you think an appointment is, okay? An appointment, like I always tell a client, is the same thing. Someone that has given us their name, address, and contact details, which we already have, and has agreed to an appointment, and we tell them who the estimator is. An appointment in these high ticket niches is not virtual or phone estimates. If your client decides to do that, that is up to them, but you always want to cover yourself in contracts and just let them know that what we're considering to be an appointment is where you go by the customer's home, and for whatever reason, if the customer is against it, you always want to have some type of language, and just speak to a lawyer about this, but you want some type of language that protects you, because one of the things that I've come across, even on the lead gen side, is you don't know the type of language that your client uses, verbiage or personality and demeanor, when they speak to someone on the phone. And that can rub some people the wrong way. An example of that is when we get, if we're taking calls for a client and we get an inbound call that comes in, we have had situations where the person taking the call, they're a great person, but for whatever reason, they didn't answer the phone professionally, and the person didn't want to book an appointment with them, right? They didn't answer the questions the right way, and the customer didn't feel confident in them, and they didn't want to book the appointment with the right with the client. So it's just phone mismanagement, right? Those are external variables, right? So we have said that we have a script. So the way that we streamline this, and you say, okay, well, how can I manage someone else that I don't know they're there? It's very simple. We call it a script. So one of the things that we say to every business that we're working with at this stage, because again, we've already gained the customer's details. Now you don't want someone to call you up and say, oh, well, this person was this person was that, or this person wasn't interested or serious, because you weren't there. You don't know what transpired. So we tell everyone that when you're speaking with the customer, in order for that to be valid, you must be able to demonstrate and or show us what transpired. So they have to be using some type of call tracking software. It can't just be he said, she said. They have to be able to demonstrate that. And what we typically do is we follow up with that lead on a recorded line to present that to our client if needed. Because if you have all this back and forth stuff, it's going to be a crazy, chaotic mess. You don't want to do that. You just want to be professional. And you'll be surprised at how many clients we're able to get to use a script. It's very simple. Hey, I'm so-and-so with ABC Company. We have you booked on our calendar. I'm going to be your estimator for the appointment. I'll see you tomorrow at, let's say, 10:30. Or, once they have the time locked in because they're the estimator, person says, great, done. But if the person tries to go back and forth with a whole bunch of stuff, in terms of, I've had this happen to me one time where we booked a solid appointment. It wasn't in a roofing space. It was a different industry. We booked a solid appointment, and I would say like 4 hours that day, the client wrote us an email saying, hey, this was not a solid appointment. And we were very surprised, because you got to remember, we took that call. Person filled out a form on Google, told us what they wanted. We followed up with that person. Person said, yep, I need this done. I need someone to come by. So could you, and then we got that lead over to the client within, I would say 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Like once we got all the person's information, boom, we sent it over to them. So could you imagine 5 hours later what transpired? So the client said, oh, this person's not serious. They don't want anything. I guess they didn't know that we had all these details. So we said, okay, we followed up with the lead. Again, this is someone from Google searching for something, right? This is what I tell you, the platform, it doesn't really make a difference. Anyway, we follow up with the lead. Guy says, no, I never told that to him. I still need services. Yeah. I told him I was going to speak with my wife, but yeah, I still need this service done. We gave him that information. He was not too happy about it. Turns out what he was trying to do is cherry pick. He wanted a slightly bigger project. With this was a pretty good sized project for his industry, but he wanted something bigger because apparently he was brokering deals on the back end. So he wanted to make more money. And that's why you got to have contracts in place, right? Because you have to clearly identify what is and what isn't a lead. And once you and that business owner agree, that's the agreement. It isn't what they think a lead is, because it's impossible for you to manage that. It has to be based on the service or services they offer, depending on what you guys agreed to, plus intent, meaning the customer has this intent, and obviously they give you this information which you document on a recorded line or email or text or whatever your method of communication is. Then you provide that to the client. That's what you can consider a valid lead. So on average, if you're doing this the right way, yes, you should be able to make $2,000 to $5,000 a month, maybe more depending on the industry you're in. Like if you're charging a roofer, let's just say $200 per lead, but you're able to generate them for 20. And again, if you're a roofer listening to this, your head might be exploding, say, "Oh my gosh, you're only generating the lead for $20." Keep in mind, you have to have really good skills to get leads down to that point, because these same leads, a month or 2 months from now could cost $50, could cost $100, right? So that business is simply trying to ensure their margin. And every business is going to be different, right? They're trying to ensure their margin, that when they do come to those points, or when it gets to that point, they still can be profitable, right? And very, very much so. They could be charging you $20 per lead. They could be charging you $100 per appointment, but for whatever reason, lots of these leads are backing out and they're at $120 just to get an appointment over to you. They're losing money. It's not like you're going to turn around and say, "Oh, let me give you more." That's not the agreement. That's the thing, right? You just want to iron out in certain industries what would be a good cost per lead for you. How can you manage this? How can you get this over to the client? And once you have all of those details mapped out, in my opinion, I think that you can, why do you go to the appointment model? For a few reasons. Like I discussed earlier, you want it, you go to an appointment model with a higher ticket industry with the hope and the goal that you can provide that business with quality appointments for their sales team. By doing this, that all the middle BS stuff where they can't get a hold of a lead, this person's not interested, all this stuff, right, that you got to listen to, and you don't want to deal with that nonsense, right? You're saying, "Hey, listen," in the back of your mind, you're saying this, "Listen, I get it. You guys are just not versed in working leads, no problem. We will manage that part for you. We'll take all of that, not that middle stuff out. Tired of dealing with shared leads? Hey, I get it, no problem. Don't worry about that. Lead will come in, you won't even know. We're going to work that lead. The minute we get a hold of that person on the phone, we're going to collect their details. We use a script, and then we're going to book that person on your calendar," right? And by doing that, all of those details for you are locked in. So you don't have to really worry about that. Now that you have that part set, it's done. Now you're streamlining things for this business, right? And some of you may not be in a super high ticket niche, but there's a lot of value add. Maybe you're working with chiropractors. This is very big in the chiropractic space, because again, most people who are working at a chiropractic office, they're not versed in how to work leads. That's just not their thing. So you could be sending them the best leads in the world, but they call John Doe once and they never have a follow. Here's a good point. We had a $15,000 roof project come in, which is not the biggest of roof projects. It's okay, right? But we had a $15,000 roof project come in. When the guy filled out the form, he did not initially get back to us. We thought that was odd. So we text him again later that day. We call him. Still nothing. 4 days later, again, almost every day we dropped him a call. Nothing. 4 days later, here's our follow-up. "Hey, so-and-so, we got your inquiry, just following up." Oh, he's like, yeah, come on by. I need the estimate. 4 days later, turned out to be a 15,000 plus roofing job, right? Most clients would just call this guy once, don't get a hold of him. "Hey, I got a bad lead. They're not working this lead," right? So it goes to show you that you can't really, when you have all this back and forth, it becomes a waste of your time. Just work that lead for the business, right? You hire someone to do that. Or if you're using some software, the software can do it for you. And then boom, when the person is ready, you can follow up, you can get their details and then send it off to your client. So yeah, that's the appointment model. You can do it with the lead gen model as well. Just remember, with the lead gen model style, every industry is different. Like we still have clients that we just do leads with. But one of the biggest things that I just teach is that you want to find a way, like if you're doing dental implants, that'd be a perfect industry to do this in. Generate the lead, let's say 15, 20, 25 bucks, sell it off to your client as an appointment for 100, 120. Person comes in. Now that's the trick. For those in-office visits, that's the only thing where the client can't control. What if the person doesn't show up? So you want to have a system in place that will solidify them actually coming into the office, because that may be the difference in terms of what someone booked and then someone showed. So you got to make sure you have a show visit. With home visits, it's a lot different. Somebody has a day and time. They say, hey, I'm coming by now. Unless the person says don't come, they come, right? And obviously that person can try to get them to come again or what have you. Rarely have I seen a lot of home visits bomb out with the system we have. They pretty much go through. So yeah, I hope you guys found any value in this audio. If you did, leave it in the comment section below. And then for those of you that are looking for, like I discussed, maybe you want to run a system like this, but you don't have the blueprint, you don't have the marketing, you don't know how to generate the leads, then you can book a one-on-one call with me to see if you qualify for my coaching program. And the link for that is in the description below. And then for many of you that if you're having issues, you just want to get a quick strategy call, you can book a call with me as well. Link for that is below the video. I'll see you guys on our next audio.